I believe will help people understand one basic fact that everyone should be aware of, is that everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. And it's mathematically guaranteed to be correct. All you have to do is understand a few ideas to understand that everything goes to zero against Bitcoin.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Max Keiser discusses Bitcoin and crypto. As an early investor in Bitcoin, I was fortunate to be among the select few who recognized its potential. Mac began to accumulate in 2011. When Bitcoin was trading for around $1 per coin, Max had a part-time job as a stockbroker in the 1980s. This experience helped him quickly realize the tremendous potential that Bitcoin offers. During an interview with Blockware in El Salvador, Max and his wife, Stacy Herbert, are assisting President Nayib Bouali in achieving his goals for the country through Bitcoin. In the discussion, Max predicts a significant outcome of $10 million for Bitcoin, attributing it to the consequences of uncontrolled government spending and excessive money printing. He believes that this will render the dollar and other fiat currencies, which are not backed by anything, worthless. During the interview, Max discusses the potential future shift towards Bitcoin as a global currency. He highlights Bitcoin's reputation as a reliable and secure form of money, making it a viable alternative to the current monetary system. Max also addresses the influence of Bitcoin ETFs and the entry of major Wall Street players, such as BlackRock and its CEO Larry Finn, into the cryptocurrency market. Max has been expressing his strong opposition to spot Bitcoin ETFs, acknowledging their few advantages for Bitcoin. However, he firmly believes that the risks outweigh these advantages, particularly for investors. And lots of things Max Keiser discusses, so please watch the video to end and share this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance. Thanks.
It's an acceptance of fact that goes against my ability to change Bitcoin's place or path. So I'm simply saying that's why being a toxic maximalist is important. Okay. Your question is, the answer is this. There's two things that being a toxic maximalist disproves. Number one, that it's a Ponzi scheme, because all Ponzi schemes require more people to get into the Ponzi scheme. And all Ponzi scheme promoters are really friendly people. Hi, how are you? Look at my Ponzi scheme, right? All the shitcoiners are really nice and they're doing great for society and they have a great solution to this problem. And the community is really friendly. But that's what the Ponzi scheme needs that to succeed, because the second people stop participating in your Ponzi scheme, it collapses. And that's pretty much the story of everything that's not Bitcoin. Either it already happened or it will happen. And the other thing is that, with egocentricity comes a certain degree of vanity, as alluded to earlier. And if when my toxic maximalism accompanies I'm willing to appear as I am. I'm not trying to mask myself. I'm not, overly made up. I'm not pretending to be somebody other than a pleb, essentially, a person, a 65-year-old man who is closer to death than they are to being born, who is got arthritis in my knee and my shoulder, and I'm on the way out. But I am willing to speak about Bitcoin in a way that I believe will help people understand one basic fact that everyone should be aware of, is that everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. And it's mathematically guaranteed to be correct. All you have to do is understand a few ideas to understand that everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. And that's like saying gravity is real, the sun comes up in the east, the wheel is irreproducible discovery or invention of something that's worked brilliantly for thousands of years, right? You're just stating the obvious truth and the irrefutable truth. And so it's different than somebody who has a shitcoin project and is arguing that, well, you're against innovation or you're against new things, or in El Salvador, the policy is Bitcoin maximalism, Bitcoin only, and the law says that Bitcoin is money and everything else is unregistered security. Now, the brand value of Bitcoin maximalism is 1,000 times better than the risk of even letting one shitcoin in to do shitcoiny things by any perceived incremental gain that shitcoiner could do. Let's say shitcoin shows up and they say, well, we're going to disintermediate the pupusa business by making it through our coin. It's going to be a way to source cheese, pupusa coin, right? And I loathe even saying it because now there'll be a pupusa coin and it'll go up 10,000% and it'll be a pump and dump and I'll get blamed, as I always do. I get blamed for everything. So, but they'll say it's going to disintermediate the cheese delivery to 5,000 pupusa deal. And you're like, it sounds fucking great, right? And then here's a photo with, in front of the president's house. And it's at 0.00000001. And there's 57 quadrillion of them. And now it's up 5,000%. You see, pupusas needed to be disintermediated. And then here come the noobs. And now they lose 100% of everything. And they blame Bitcoin.
Despite these numerous advantages, which primarily demonstrate Max's profound skepticism towards Wall Street, he also acknowledges the benefits of spot Bitcoin ETFs, as highlighted by a Bitcoin OG maximalist. One of the advantages is the increased attention on Bitcoin's potential to outperform traditional currencies and gold. Shortly after the launch of the ETFs in January, a significant amount of money flowed out of gold ETFs, causing notable figures like Peter Schiff to express their frustration on Twitter. This success has shed light on the potential of spot Bitcoin. The introduction of Bitcoin ETFs has bolstered people's trust and belief in Bitcoin, fueling the ongoing bull market. Since its launch in January, Bitcoin prices have surged from around $40,000 to a record-breaking high of over $73,000 per coin. This remarkable growth can be attributed not only to the influence of Wall Street on Bitcoin, but also to the profound impact that Bitcoin has had on Wall Street. Bitcoin has made its way to Wall Street, and investors are well aware of the need to get involved in order to seize the significant opportunity at hand. Figures like Bloomberg's Eric Balchunas have highlighted the importance of these new waves of investors joining the market. They understand that being a part of this is crucial, not necessarily because they are completely convinced of price gains, but because they don't want to miss out, even if there is only a 1% chance that prices skyrocket. Let's get back to Max Keiser interview.
Right? So what did we learn? What's the point of all this? There's no gain at all from any other project except Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, the more traded of these shitcoins. They offer nothing. There's nothing that they can offer us. The law is clear that they're not wanted unless they want to register as a security. They're welcome to register as securities, but of course they would never do that because that would mean they'd have to actually be somewhat legitimate, which they're not. Trading in the shitcoin space is no different than gambling. Okay, so they're gambling, and people love to gamble. And the people who promote those shitcoins know that people love to gamble. There's a place for that called Las Vegas or Macau in China. And you may or may not know this, but the casino industry knows this. The emotional kick, the emotional high from losing is greater than winning. People who win at the casino, they're like, oh, that's cool, I won. And they get a little bump of endorphin. But when they lose, it's much bigger bump. They suddenly are the star of a psychodrama of a man who's losing money in the casino and his wife is leaving him and his kids are starving. And like, it's so dramatic and they're so important to this whole scheme of things. And so, that's what the shitcoin appeals to gambleaholics. And we live in a society of drug addicts and alcoholics and gambleaholics and porn addicted people. So they are feeding into Pornhub, shitcoins, Binance, Coinbase. They are shitcoin casinos. They're in the casino business. I've often said that Coinbase is an unregistered casino operating in California, that they should move to Nevada and get a proper gambling license, because they're not offering financial services. It's a gambling house disguised as something else. And so they're not investing. They're not participating in Bitcoin. They're just gambling. Now, when you say I'm gambling in the shitcoin market so I can buy more Bitcoin, okay, go to Las Vegas and 1,000 people on the floor of the slot machines are all telling you that, I'm going to use my winnings to buy a new extension on my house. Like my winnings. My winnings, right? But those 1,000 people are all losing. They lost 1,000, then they made $5. They're like, I'm a winner. I made $5. They're like, you lost $995. They're like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Right? They're not well. So you can't gamble your way to making more money. And everybody thinks that they can. But again, that's the opposite of being humble and stacking sats. Right. That's the opposite. It attracts the fiat mentality. It attracts the gambleaholic. And that's what drives the prices of that total shitcoin casino. So those people, I always see them on my timeline. I send them a link to Gambleaholics Anonymous or to Shitcoiners Anonymous, which is a 12-step program I developed for shitcoin addicted shitcoiners. The first step is to admit that you're a shitcoinaholic, and admit to Satoshi that you need help. Go to a Shitcoiners Anonymous meeting. Come to El Salvador and make amends to me personally, and I will baptize you in the Pacific Ocean if you're lucky, and maybe you can be reborn as a proper Bitcoiner. But don't try to argue with me that your gambling addiction is in some way helping you or anyone around you. Look at BitBoy. He's like a poster child for a gambleaholic shitcoin anonymous going fucking nightmare who's acts out violently. I saw him at the Bitcoin conference 2 years ago. He attacked me. He physically came over and just attacked me. I'm like, BitBoy, you need to calm down. You need to go to Shitcoiners Anonymous to straighten yourself out. But he hasn't found his bottom or whatever. He hasn't bottomed out. He hasn't hit bottom. So but the shitcoiners know this. And look at Craig Wright. He's a pathological psychopath who dragged Peter McCormick and others into his nightmare. And they actually suffered real damages because he's a psychotic. He's a patsy. He's the Lee Harvey Oswald of Satoshi Special Vision. For that other guy who's his puppet master. I forget his name. But it's just the whole industry is rife with psychopaths, but less so now than before. In the early days, when we were getting started, it was literally the most, I would say, emotionally damaged people you could find on planet Earth, because they were. It has a strange, I call it Bitcoin derangement syndrome. It's like you're looking into the face of Medusa and your brain turns to stone. Like a lot of people can't handle that amount of truth. Bitcoin is pure truth. And if you look at it, it can damage you. It can turn you into a worse psychopath than you would have been had you not looked into the Bitcoin protocol. Some people look into it and they're ennobled by it. Like Andreas Antonopoulos, he's somebody was already a good guy and he became a better guy. Saylor was already a good guy. He became a better guy. Roger Ver was already kind of a dicey character and he became worse because it's a mirror. It's a mirror of the truth. It's the pure truth. And if you are already have one foot in crazy land, you're going to put both feet in crazy land.
On Friday, the Japanese yen experienced a significant decline, reaching its lowest point against the US dollar since 1990. It has been cautioned by numerous individuals in the Bitcoin community that a situation like this would eventually affect all major currencies, including the US dollar. The yen has already experienced a decline of nearly 11% against the USD in 2024, making it the weakest performer among the G10 currencies. This trend is expected to continue in the upcoming years. The yen's depreciation is being further exacerbated by the significant disparity in interest rates between the US and Japan. While interest rates in the US are currently at their highest point in decades, borrowing costs in Japan remain stubbornly low, near zero. Investors are eagerly awaiting intervention from the Bank of Japan, although experts caution that with a debt-to-GDP ratio of over 260%, any interventions will only delay the inevitable crisis. Based on data from Wikipedia, the Japanese public debt stood at around $9.2 trillion as of March 2023, accounting for approximately 200% of GDP. This is the highest among all developed nations. The United States is already on its way to reaching this level, and it's only a matter of time before our national debt and the value of the dollar face similar concerns. What are your thoughts on Max Keiser's interview and his prediction of $10 million for Bitcoin? If you learned something from this video, then please like this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance, and we will meet in next video. Thanks.